They're like nutrient
They got
packed.
honey in between them.
Yeah,
honey stingers.
Give him a little energy, in case he's feeling a little low, on energy or something like that. So it's a healthy snack.
Do you get to pick what your snack, like which snack you infuse, right? Could you go on, maybe you want blueberry pancakes instead of a waffle? Well, I don't know.
They might have different flavors though, Rachel.
I'm just saying, a jump investigation is on the horizon. We get into the important issues here on this show. Welcome indeed. I'm Rachel Nichols. Today I'm joined by our senior writer, Hall of Famer, Mr. Jackie McMullen. And oh look, it's 2008 champion, first team all-back alley, Mr. Kendrick Perkins. Coming up, Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know if you've heard this, but he's returning to Madison Square Garden tonight as an opposing player for the first time. And we want to know who is under more pressure to win, the Knicks or KP. You're going to have to answer that along with us, so stay tuned. First, though, I know a lot of people know about the Clutch City era of the Houston Rockets, but not everyone knows its origin. The whole thing actually started with an NFL game back in 1993. The Houston Oilers had a 32-point second-half lead on the Bills, but coughed it up and lost in overtime. To this day, it is still the biggest comeback in NFL history, which is great if you live in Buffalo. Not so much in Houston. Then came the Rockets the following year. In the second round of the 94 playoffs, a heavily favored Houston team blew multiple big leads in successive games to go down 0-2 to the Suns. It looked like another major stumble. And so the next day, the Houston Chronicle's front page headline was Choke City. Except then, the Rockets dug it out, beating the Suns in 7 games on their way to winning a championship, and Clutch City was born. So fast forward to this Rockets team, which has seen its share of winning, but also, if we're going to be honest, of choking too. None more so than in last year's playoffs when the Rockets were supposed to be title contenders, but instead fell in the second round to a Warriors team that lost Kevin Durant mid-series. That performance was so crushing to the franchise that Houston made major changes over the summer. Chris Paul went out. Russell Westbrook came in. A big chunk of the coaching staff was let go. By the time we got to last night's early season matchup with the Clippers, the Rockets were out to prove they were a different team. And they did start that way, jumping ahead by as many as 17, even as Russ picked up 4 early fouls. Then, well, the lead started dwindling. Then it was totally gone. LA went up by 4. That is when James Harden, whose scoring has evolved from ostentatious to flat-out obscene this season, kicked into gear. The man scored 17 points in the game's final 5 or so minutes. 17, and it was ridiculous. He did this from deep, like it was nothing. Then pulled up over JaMychal Green, like it was nothing. He even took Kawhi's cookies here and turned it into a nice alley-oop for Tyson Chandler. By the time it was all over, the Rockets had the W. Harden had 47 points. And Houston's defense looked completely functional, holding the Clips to just 93. Actually, it was worse than that for LA, which lost not just the game, but its coach. Yes, Doc Rivers was tossed for arguing with officials over how many timeouts LA had, a moment made absolutely amazing by his son, Austin, who first motioned refs to tee his dad up, and then waved at Doc as he left the court, making that call me phone call gesture to him. Austin then took to Twitter, "Well, Thanksgiving is gonna be weird." Yeah, awkward. Although he also later put this up on IG, "Great win, love you, Pops," to which Doc replied in the comments, "Hilarious, love you." Aw, so all's well that ends well there. Decidedly less warm and fuzzy were Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley post-game. These two have a long and sometimes bloody history, and last night Russ took another shot at Pat, saying this.
Pat Bev trick y'all, man. Like, he play defense. He don't guard nobody, man. Just running around, doing nothing. It's not. As you've seen, what happened, 47. All that commotion to get 47.
Does Russ have a point?
No.
James Harden was actually 0 for 6 last night when Pat Bev was his primary defender. So no, but Russ is right about this. James did drop 47 on a team that had been ranked collectively as having the NBA's best defense in his previous 5 games. That is something. And Harden did it not just to fill up the stat sheet, but by delivering huge when his team was down and absolutely needed him to. In fact, in a city that knows both sides of the spectrum, well, you might even say he was clutch. At least as clutch as you can get for a game in November. So, guys, I do want to talk more about that Rockets defense because we talked a lot about them when they were terrible during the first week or 2 of the season. And last night, Perk, they held the Clippers to 93 points. Do you start to believe in what they can do on that end of the court?
Yeah, I'm leaning that way.
Okay.
I'm not sold all the way. You know, I watch this Rockets team, and sometimes they don't look engaged. You know, not every night, not consistently. And let's be real, the Clippers have struggled offensively for the last, like, 5 games. So teams have been locking them up, you know, pretty well. But let's give credit, man. This was a big win for the Houston Rockets last night. But I think, you know, one thing that I see about the Rockets is that, and if I'm Mike D'Antoni, you know, I would start running a couple plays, you know, for P.J. Tucker, guys like that, you know, getting him on easy little layups to make him feel involved. Because once you make a player feel involved, then they get more engaged into the game. And they don't want to sit around and just watch James do him or watch Russ do him and just stand around and not be, because it's hard to just say, hey, let them score, and then y'all run down and play defense. Yeah. But last night was impressive on both ends by the Rockets. And one thing that it showed me is that James Harden is the best scorer in the NBA, period, hands down. It's not even a debate.
So in a matter of days, because we're talking small sample size here, right? So in a matter of a week, Houston's defensive rating has jumped from 28th to 18th. Right. Okay. Earlier in the year, teams were shooting 42% from the three-point line against them.
Right.
In the last 3 games, they're only shooting 25% from the three-point. So that's what I'm looking at, Rachel. Right. Can you sustain that? Right. Because they haven't done a great job at defending that three-point line defensively. If you can do that, then I start really believing that you can play good defense. And you got to do a better job of stopping opponents' points in the paint, something they haven't done as well. You do that, I'm on board.
I'm on board too, but I'm not going to jump the gun, but I like what I've been seeing over the last 5 games, though, from the Rockets.
There's a pride thing, too, right? Sure. This team certainly considers itself a championship contender, again, and to have people all over the league making fun of your defense and throwing up that score against the Wizards and all of that stuff, I think guys, we've got 2 former MVPs on that team, they're sending the message throughout the locker room, we got to tighten this up. To your point, I don't know how long that lasts, but you got to give them credit now because they're getting it done. I want to talk about Kawhi Leonard because you saw him in a clip before. He is out tonight, but here's what's interesting. We did not expect him to play the second night of the back-to-back, but the Clippers are now calling this, quote, left knee injury management. And that is interesting because we talked on this set yesterday. I pointed out, they got to stop calling it load management, right? You got to say the thing that's wrong, and that if people say, oh, he's got a knee problem, which he does. And they're trying to keep him healthy off of it.
Don't you think it's a tweak there? Why just say left knee? Why do you say left knee management?
Well, it's slow. You gotta move slowly. You've got to it's
take
this
baby steps.
It's like one of those morph things.
Silly.
I don't know. Patrick Beverley also going to miss this game. You know, Kawhi hasn't played a back-to-back since April of 2017.
Wow.
So that is something to note as well. Do you feel better about this injury designation? You still feel like it's too?
To me, it's semantics. And we keep talking about this, and the league is watching every single thing now, and every letter and every I and T being put out there. And what does it still mean? It's all still the same thing. Kawhi's got a knee patella tendon problem, and he needs to be rested throughout the year. The end.
But I think that terminology is important. I think if you are telling fans he has a knee problem, and we're taking care of it,
I get that.
We're managing it. That is something as a fan I would feel better about than these load management designations that some are for injury and some are for rest. And what are you talking like? I think that I don't think any load management should be for rest. They're all health related in truth. Yes. So I do like this better. I think it's better.
Because we putting these reports out for the fans.
Yeah. And gamblers. Don't forget the gamblers.
And the gamblers. But we want them to be happy because once again, they're the ones that support our league and the way they're the reason that our NBA is where it is today. So I'm glad that they did handle it this way.
All right, Kawhi is out, but guess who's going to make his debut tonight? If you bought tickets for that Clippers-Pelicans game,
PG.
you will see Paul George. He missed the first 11 games for the Clippers. Remember, he had surgery on both of his shoulders this past offseason. I saw Perk just the other night here at Staples Center, and he was so jonesing to play. I mean, you know what it's like after an injury, Perk. And they've held him out even in the smart way to just be like, hey, you know when you think you can come back, you're going to come back a week after that so you can make sure you're healthy. What do you expect from him? Because in the first game back from an injury, sometimes the guy's trying so hard, right?
Right. Well, I mean, PG is a vet, but you got to understand he had a way worse injury when he almost had his career injury.
That's true.
You know, coming back off his shoulder injury obviously is a big deal, but PG is a scorer. And obviously they're playing the Pelicans, which you could get buckets on at any time. I mean, they give up. It's the truth. They give up a ton of points. So I wouldn't be surprised if he come in tonight and have between 15 and 20 points. I would not be surprised if he come in and have a serious impact on this game. How many minutes he play, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he could get 15 to 20 points on the Pelicans tonight.
It's a little unfortunate that both Kawhi and Pat Beverly are out. Right. So to me, it's like personifies the great things of Paul George offensively and defensively. I hope he doesn't try to do too much.
Right.
And I just think that's human nature. When you come back, you want to show everybody, I'm not only fine, I'm going to make this team a contender, and all that talk about us being the best defense, it's going to happen now that I'm here. So if I'm Doc Rivers, I've got him on a minutes restriction, and I'm being very careful when I play him and how much I play him.
Yeah, I mean, when you've come back from an injury, what's sort of the biggest thing in your mind as you hit the floor for the first time?
You just kind of want to go out there and you just want to do something good. Like, it's not necessarily, you just want to show that you're back. You want to score a first bucket or grab a rebound or run the floor and make sure that you're healthy. I mean, getting a dunk would be great, but you just want to just be out there. It's nothing. It's just the feeling of being back out on the court. That it is better than anything. Like, forget the stats and everything. Just that feeling of being back in the game.
Doesn't adrenaline exhaust you the first game out?
Yeah.
Like, I remember guys telling me that the adrenaline of just being back after 4 minutes, they're like,
you know what? When I
tired?
came back off that ACL injury in Boston and I got that standing ovation, the first 30 seconds I was dead tired. And I, like, just off of adrenaline because I was so pumped up.
I was there, dude.
Yeah, I was so pumped up and everything. So, you know, I'm glad PG's back. It's great for the game, too.
Good for him, absolutely. Coming up, the Celtics have the league's top-rated offense and dropped 140 last night. This is without Gordon Hayward. Is this sustainable? We'll discuss that. First, though, it's time for our distant replay from this date in 2008 featuring Mr. Bean. No, not that Mr. Bean, this Mr. Bean.
Oh, mama.
Long arms.
Yep.
There you go.
Oh, Gasol.
There you go.
Those were the days.
Yes, it was. No load management
Gasol
for
never gets
Kobe.
enough credit for those.
No load management for Kobe.